What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Dream Firm Spotlight. My name is Tyler S. Clark, co-founder of Dream Firms, where we create generational wealth and impact for entrepreneurial accountants by systemizing how they attract, win, and retain the business of their dream clients. And to help you to do that, I'm going to share a story from my archive of how I built a six-figure firm in 365 days. Yes, crazy concept. I actually have done what I teach other people to do to win this award behind us, which symbolizes adding six figures with Dream Firms in less than 365 days. We're shipping 7 awards out just last week for this. They reached this milestone. And so I want to share with you how I did this once, not just once, but twice, and the difference between the first year and the second year, and what I learned along the way. So first things first, when I started my firm, I said, you know what? I'm going to let every single person I know that I started an accounting firm and that I can help them with a variety of different things, accounting, bookkeeping, and tax. And so I sent tons of text messages. I told all my buddies. I told everyone I knew, I'm doing this thing. And I got a little bit of business from it. Not a lot, but at least they were aware of me. And to be fair, this is the basis for the Practice Igniter Challenge. There's a huge amount of opportunity inside of your network, and you have to periodically let them know that you exist and that you can help them because their situations and circumstances change from year to year. And I'm going to bring that up in when I talk about year 2. So there was a tiny bit of business from that, but the vast majority, the bulk of all of the income I was able to generate for my firm, where did the leads come from for that? They came from something that is a bit old school and is making a tiny bit of a resurgence that I've noticed. But what we did is we called people that didn't know us and we introduced ourselves. We were making anywhere from 300 to 600 outbound dials per day when I was running my firm. That's the level of effort that we were putting in place to contact our local small business market. And I was in South Jersey. It was a somewhat economically depressed area coming out of the 2008 area. It took a while to ramp back up. And so it was slow going. It was pretty difficult. Our best day in the history of doing our outbound dialing, we scheduled, I believe it was 17 appointments in a single day. What was interesting about our outbound dialing, and I can go over some of the scripts and the objection handling, I actually kind of think it's kind of cool. It's a great way to get much better at phone sales, overcoming objections, just being uncomfortable for a while. So if you've never done it for an extended period of time, I actually recommend it. There are smarter ways to grow, don't get me wrong, but for people who are like, I want to just kind of like jump into this, I have one client who was like, I'm going to do that, and jumped into it, and he loves it. And so for some people, it can be a great growth strategy. However, 17 appointments in a singular day, that was the best we did. We were averaging about 1 a day. So that was like giving me about 5 appointments a week, generally speaking. And so that was, I would close 1 out of 2 of those per week. So that would allow us to get anywhere from 1 to 2 new clients a week. And that's what allowed me to add the initial $100,000 to my practice. And in terms of the advantages that I had that I would like to pass to you, which is a part of the YouTube channel, is structured sales conversations. I know that the big thing in the accounting world is pricing, and don't get me wrong, you have to price your services profitably. I learned that a little bit of the hard way going into year 2. I realized I had underpriced a lot of engagements. I'm going to talk about that in the lessons for year 2. But for year 1, the only reason I was able to close 25 to 30% of every conversations that I had was because I knew how to go through a sales presentation. And again, I'm not going to go over that right now, but if you're not announcing the price and you're not asking for a credit card, I promise you are elongating the sales process significantly. If you're just sending a proposal and like closing your eyes, that's usually not the best way to go about it. I know a lot of you have been ghosted. I know a lot of you have not necessarily had a pleasant experience from going through that process. And life will keep teaching you the same lesson over and over again until you learn from it. And one of the best lessons I can teach you from that experience with my firm is always have a structured sales process, run through it, review it. And when you review it, usually the biggest things that are like mistakes are we didn't properly explain the value of the service, what the return on investment was. We didn't ask for the business. We literally didn't ask them to move forward. And if we did ask them to move forward, and they were not ready, which is fine, you still have to set a follow-up date and time to be able to come back to the conversation, give them more information to make an informed decision. If you just say, I'll talk to you later, I'll send you an email, the deal is effectively dead. And I learned that the hard way. But okay, so structured sales pitch. In terms of pricing, my pricing model was very simple, and it was very easy for me to be able to give a quote that was relatively profitable. Not as profitable as I would have liked it have been. We've since evolved a lot of our pricing strategies since then. But if you need a very simple, quick, and easy pricing strategy that works pretty well, and you're in the monthly accounting space, simple as this: number of transactions that they have times 3 to 5, depending on the market you're in. So if they have 50 transactions and you're in a relatively low cost market, you can do 50 transactions times 3, it's $150 a month. Now, I know no one's probably super excited about a $150 per month client, but another lesson I learned is we didn't say no to anybody. And this actually proved to be a very smart strategy going into year 2, because a lot of those clients, yeah, some of them went out of business, some of them were too small, but several of them grew tremendously from year 1 to year 2. And one client in particular, we were able to 8x their price on a monthly basis. And when I say I was like terrified to have that call, I was like, and I delayed it for like 2 months. They're never going to agree to this price. Like, no, this is going to be impossible. And they immediately said yes to it. I was like, why did I worry about that for 2 months when it was the simplest conversation I've probably had all month? So point being is really simple sales pricing is per transaction basis, $3 to $5. However, the caveat to that is you have to be able to do one of two things to do that well, and this is why I've evolved my pricing strategy since then. You either have to have the client have access to all of their account expenses, right? Like all the expenses that they're making in accounts to verify it, and let's be real, most business owners will not have that readily available, so you'll have to wait for them to be able to go and get it. Or if they can't get it, you have to trust them on a guess, because they don't know. And so the reason I changed my pricing strategies later on was because I was underquoting, not through anyone's fault other than mine, because I was trusting them to give me a piece of information that business owners don't really know. I think it's probably around like 50 transactions, and in reality it was like 100. And so I was half of where I needed to be, and I would only learn that after we got the records to be able to do the work. And so anyway, point being is I would be very careful about using that, but if you need something quick and simple that gives you a quote that you can update at a later time, that's a simple way to do it. Next lesson I learned is that in the first year of running my firm, I trusted the leader in websites. Okay, they go by CPA site pollutions. Okay, they actively pollute the internet with like a whole bunch of like blog spam that is literally the same on every single website that they build for every single client. So it's not useful. It is the definition of commodity. We look exactly the same. We have the same exact style websites. We produce the same exact content, literally verbatim, word for word, the same exact content. And so I was signed up. I was all proud. I was all in their gold package. I believed SEO was the way to go. I was like, yes. Year goes by. One lead that didn't even show up to a call, couldn't get them on the phone, couldn't get them to respond to an email. One lead that effectively did 0. So we got 0 traction online, literally 0 in the first year of my business. And there's this old adage, right, that's exceptionally prevalent in the accounting space. This is the way it's always been done before. And so after year 1, I was tired of cold calling. I was tired of having people make cold calls for me. I was tired of driving all over the state of New Jersey to do in-person presentations. Sometimes people weren't even there when I would drive 30 to 45 minutes to get there. And then, of course, I'd go around, knock on doors, pass out some business cards, make the most of the time while I was there. But man, that was really frustrating. It was really deflating. And so life will keep teaching you lessons until you learn it. And the lesson I learned is there's got to be a smarter way. And so after we added the 100K with outbound cold calling, I said, all right, there's this thing called the internet. We got to figure this out, right? Like I am using the internet all of the time to research things, buy things, and there are things that I can readily identify, right? Like that are enticing me to want to engage with these brands, to buy these things. And there are other things that are saying, I don't really know about this. I don't think this is as good as an idea. So if I can just study the things that are working really well over here, and then I can bring them over into my online presence, the things that I am not doing or doing wrong, I wonder if that would make a difference in my business, right? Like that's like the core principles behind Dream Firms, which is you can't have your dream firm without having your dream client. And in order to have your dream client want to work with you, they have to see you and respect you online. It sounds very basic, but very few people do it. And so I said, okay, well, let me analyze my client base first. Let me analyze the dynamics of my team. What are the things in terms of the best clients that we have? What are the shared characteristics? I said, okay. My father is very patriotic. I'm not really too far one direction or another on the political spectrum, but he's very patriotic. He, our lead accountant at the time, before he passed away, R.I.P. Mr. Azar, he was a veteran. And then we had a couple of other things in terms of really good high-paying clients that were all essentially in the military at one point in time. And we said, I wonder if we start to target and market specifically to this target market, if we lean into our brand, which was America's Choice, so it was literally an American-based company, right? We lean into that. We target more of the military style. We brand the website. I wonder if that'll make a difference. And so I want to share a quick story about my transition from CPA site pollution. So I called them up because initially I just said, there are a few things I want to change on the website, and I figured they would want my business and they'd want to help me. And the first thing that I noticed is that when I looked at my website, literally in the search bar, so www.myaccountingfirm's website, it unsecure in big letters. It was unsecure right next to it. And I was like, that's odd. I would never work with an accounting firm that was blatantly disregarding security next to my brand name, like my website name. That seems like a really big problem. So I bring it up to them. I'm on the phone with the rep and I go, hey, can we change that? And they literally go, oh no, that's not a big deal. You don't have to worry about that. I'm like, what do you mean not a big deal? I don't have to worry. It's right next to my brand name. It says it's not secure and we're an accounting firm. We have to have security. It's not. And they're like, oh, it doesn't really matter. And I'm like, okay, you're wrong. It does matter. And that's what led me down a really long journey of developing the skill sets of being able to create secure websites, have them run a certain way, speak to a certain dream client profile. And I, like I said earlier, I just mirrored all the things I was already using and buying and experiencing. And I was like, I just should bring this over into the accounting world because nobody else was doing it. I was like, there's no other place I can go to that can give me an awesome website that allows me to get more people interested in our services. It sounds crazy, but it wasn't a thing. So I did that, and what happened over the next 30 days was shocking. The only thing I changed was the website. I didn't do anything else. I didn't turn on any ads. I didn't start being more aggressive on social media. I didn't do anything. All I did was change the website, and we got 6 leads in 30 days compared to 1 lead that didn't materialize in a year with CPA site pollutions. The percentage growth on that is ridiculous. Okay, one step further. What else did we do? So at the tail end of year 1, we started to experiment with something, and I want to give credit to one of my team members, Sarah. So Sarah comes up to me and she says, hey, the list, because when you're dialing, the quality of the leads determines how many appointments you're going to get. She said, hey, my list is not performing like it used to. I've noticed a serious decline in just the number of people responding and booking appointments. I'd like you to try something different. I was like, cool, you're proactive, right? What's up? I love that. What is it that you'd like to try? And she goes, well, I've been Googling businesses. And what I realized is when I started to Google businesses, I saw this website. And this website's more popular now, but this was in its infancy. And she's like, it's called Thumbtack. And I'd like to see if we can start to book some appointments through it. And I was like, all right, well, let's try it. We started to run through Thumbtack, and we got a whole bunch of opportunities through it. And I had a client literally just the other week who's like, Tyler, I invested $5,000 on Thumbtack. I'm making $5,000 per month back. So he literally 12x'd his investment on Thumbtack. And my story from several years ago was almost the same. It's every time we put money into Thumbtack, we got money back. We generated reviews on there. That was my first true experience with review generation, which we've since expanded like crazy with Google My Business reviews. We've generated literally hundreds, if not thousands of them by this point for our clients. And that was my first experience because I realized that as soon as I got a couple of good clients on there that bought from us because I was the only one responding and being like professional, like to them, like, because, you know, a lot of accountants don't unfortunately have, they're just not like responsive, right? They're very busy, but like I was only dedicated to this. This is the only thing I was doing. It was like growing the company. So I was like constantly like responding. She was responding. So we were very much on top of it. So every dollar we spent was giving us a high chance of coming back. Then we delivered great service. And then we got a bunch of 5-star reviews. I didn't even ask them. It just happened organically. I was like, oh my God. And then it started to steamroll on top of each other. And that was just like a tremendous boon to our growth. And that, again, that happened towards the tail end of year one, but then really ramped up in year two, which was super useful. And here's the other part is like in year two, after you've done a really nice job for your clients in year one, the nice thing that happens is you get more referrals now. Like I got 0 referrals. I didn't buy a book of business. I didn't poach any clients. I started purely from 0. So I had to have more aggressive style marketing, right? Outbound cold calling in order to generate any interest in my firm's services. And now that I had somewhat of a reputation, whether it was through Thumbtack, the updated website that spoke to a specific dream client avatar and actually like gave them a reason to book a call. Like we actually had like booking software, crazy concept. Now we can actually get referrals. Right? So like these things started to steamroll and compound on each other, which was amazing. And so for those of you who are like feeling like you're struggling right now, right? Like, and you haven't been able to add 6 figures in a year yet, I promise you the bottleneck is not the next certification. It's not another piece of software. It has nothing to do with that. Not enough people know about you. That's it. Not enough people know you exist. And if more people know you exist, and a certain percentage of those agree to speak with you, a certain percentage of those agree to buy with you, the standard funnel, right? A certain percentage of those will refer more clients. It compounds on itself. It grows more efficiently over time because you're going to continue to make you're going to tweak, you're going to make improvements, you're going to make everything better and smarter as it moves along. But that doesn't matter if the size of people who are aware of you stays this small when really it needs to continually be like, just keep growing and growing. That's always the bottleneck, right? Like not enough people know about you. And as soon as more people know, by extension, you'll grow. Okay, so I want to add one last piece onto this in terms of the difference between my first 100K and my second 100K. And so the second 100K, one of the major advantages that allowed me time to work on the websites, that allowed me time to like develop the staff, to be able to also work on workflow softwares, because I realized as we were growing, there were growth constraints. I had to work with the team more. It's the standard stuff every entrepreneur deals with. You got to manage personalities. You got a lot of stuff to do. And I still had to sell and be able to do all those things. So I had to cut one thing out in particular. And the thing that I ended up cutting out was all the driving. I moved to only phone appointments. And wow, what a difference. That I thought that I would really struggle with being able to close, right? Like get people to buy if I wasn't in person. I had this fancy binder. I would flip through the pages. I had this like, polished presentation. I was like, man, what am I going to do to like offset that? I was like, I wonder if I just have and what's funny is like the first time I really did this came through the leads on the internet because the guy was so far away. And I was like, I'm not driving 2 hours. What if the person's not there? I was like, all right, let me see if I can do this on the phone because I think it's going to be the same. Boom. It totally worked. And I was like, oh, wow, I can not need to move, waste gas, right? Hurt the environment, whatever that, right? Like whatever. I don't have to do any of that stuff. And I can be way more efficient. I can stay here and I can continue to work on my online presence. I can be with the team more. I don't have to waste time in the car. I can just sell by the phone. And that shortly thereafter transitioned to, and this is when you started to be able to do some like WebEx, right? Like not started, but I mean, it was becoming more and more common and more accessible. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if that presentation binder that I have, if I took that and I converted it into some sort of an online like PowerPoint slideshow, I wonder if that would help. And so I did that too. And guess what? It helped, right? Like, so all of these incremental improvements lead up to a way more efficient business model, a way more easier time selling, not nearly as painful as pounding the phone or having people pound the phone on your behalf. And when all these things start adding up, after you've expanded the overall market awareness, the next $100,000 is way easier. And that's why we celebrate the first 100 with our clients, because after you do it once, you have all the principles in place to be able to do it again and again and again and again and again. And that's an amazing and freeing feeling that I want each and every single one of you to have. So again, I've already shared the PowerPoint presentation. It's available on the YouTube channel. You can just check the sales thing. Igniter is $67. You can get all the scripts we use to be able to make your existing market aware of who you are and what you do. We have our review gen campaign specifically for Google My Business available for free on my LinkedIn profile. So we're out here trying to make sure that we make all those efficiencies super powerful for you and easy. And when you want to expand the top of the funnel, like literally like how many people are aware of you, you do all the easy, low-hanging fruit things that you and I both know you can do. Raise the prices on the clients, right? Get them on ACH, pay them the first of the month. These are easy things. Make sure you have no AR that's ridiculous. Remove the clients that don't appreciate you. Get reviews from the ones that do. Let your network know who you are. Right? Like, I mean, these are the ones that are just like, do them. And after you do them and you want to expand the top part of the funnel where it's like more people see you and want to work with you, and you want the expert website, and you want the expert automations and the emails and everything that just like happened like magic, cool. Come join us in the Create Your Dream Firm program. And I want this hanging on your wall, right? Like I want this in your office too. So anyhow, that's how I added 6 figures to my firm. It was a slog in the beginning, like most things. And then after you go through the hard part, it gets a lot easier. And if you want to even make the hard part easier, we'd love to help you to do that. So that's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for checking out what we've got. Remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Have a fantastic rest of your workday, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully inside of the Dream Firm Network in the not so distant future. See ya.